A Promise to Keep, Daisy's Adventure. Deep in the heart of a lush and magical forest lived Daisy the deer, a cheerful, playful, and kind creature loved by all her friends. Daisy's big dreams and bubbly personality often brought joy to everyone she met. But there was one little problem. Daisy had a habit of making promises she couldn't keep. She might mean well, but time and time again, her forgetfulness left her forest friends feeling disappointed. One fine morning, Benny the Beaver, a hard-working and dependable friend, approached her and asked, "Daisy, could you help me gather branches to repair my dam? The rainy season is coming soon, and I can't do it alone." Rallying her friends, Daisy works together with them to restore the dam, realizing that true friendship is built on trust and dependability. Daisy pranced in delight and replied, "Of course, Benny! Anything for a friend!" Benny's face lit up with relief as she promised to meet him in the afternoon. But little did Benny know, keeping promises wasn't Daisy's strength. That same afternoon, instead of heading toward the riverbank to help Benny, Daisy found herself wandering into the sunny meadow. The sight of vibrant butterflies and colorful wildflowers made her forget all about her promise. The warm sun tickled her nose, and she started chasing butterflies, hopping from one flower patch to the next. Meanwhile, Benny worked tirelessly by the river. He dragged heavy branches, stacking them one by one, but the pile wasn't enough. His dam, his home, needed urgent repairs before the rains arrived. Exhausted, Benny sighed and looked around, hoping to see Daisy's cheerful face, but she never came. A pang of sadness filled his heart as he trudged on, feeling forgotten and overwhelmed. As the day wore on, dark clouds started gathering in the sky, casting shadows over the forest. A sudden gust of wind reminded Benny of the storm that could come any day now. He looked at the unfinished dam and whispered, "What will happen to all my hard work? To my home?" By evening, a fierce storm descended upon the forest. Wind howled through the treetops, and rain poured in torrents. Benny's fears came true. The unfinished dam had started to leak. Water gushed through the splintered branches as the river began to rise rapidly. The forest paths turned muddy and slippery as streams overflowed. Benny panicked, trying everything he could to stop the leaking, but it was too much for one beaver. The dam was on the verge of breaking, threatening to flood not just his home but the entire forest. At that very moment, Daisy, still frolicking in the meadow, heard the distant rumblings of thunder. She stopped in her tracks and looked up at the stormy sky. Then she saw it. The river, wild and fierce, carrying broken branches downstream. In a flash, Daisy realized her terrible mistake. "Oh no, Benny, I promised to help!" she cried, her eyes brimming with guilt. Daisy raced back to the forest, her heart pounding. As she reached the riverbank, she found Benny, drenched and trembling, struggling against the raging water. "Benny, I'm so sorry," Daisy said, tears streaming down her face. "I forgot my promise, but I'll fix everything. I'll make it right." Wasting no time, Daisy sprinted through the forest, rallying her friends for help. "Everyone! Benny needs us! The dam is breaking!" she pleaded. Her urgency and sincerity inspired all her friends, Ella the squirrel, Max the owl, Liam the fox, and even Tiny Pip the hedgehog, to join her. Together, they gathered branches, twigs, and stones, working tirelessly to restore the dam. The animals formed a chain, passing supplies to Benny, who expertly rebuilt the structure. With teamwork and determination, they strengthened the dam just in time. As the rain slowed and the river calmed, a rainbow stretched across the clearing, signaling their success. The forest was safe again, and Benny's home stood strong. Daisy approached Benny, her head held low. "Benny, I broke my promise and let you down. I can't say how sorry I am." Benny looked at Daisy and smiled warmly. "Daisy, you made a mistake, but you came back. More importantly, you kept your word when it mattered most." From that day on, Daisy became a new kind of deer. She kept every promise she made, no matter how small. She helped Ella gather acorns, listened to Max's stories during his night watch, and even teamed up with Pip to fix his little hedgehog burrow. Every time Daisy followed through on a promise, her forest friends grew prouder of her. This is Daisy's story about learning that promises are meant to be kept. Keeping your word builds trust, and shows others they can depend on you. And when others can trust you, friendships grow even stronger. So, dear little listeners, remember Daisy's lesson. Be like Daisy, not just in saying yes to help, but in keeping your promises and becoming someone everyone can count on. With every promise you fulfill, you'll make the world a better, brighter place, just like Daisy did in her magical forest.